Hi, everyone. How are you? So today is June 15th, and big day today. Princess Catherine, Princess of Wales, has made her first appearance in 6 months in public at the Trooping of the Colours in the UK. And she looked fantastic. And on top of that, right before yesterday, she released a couple of new photographs of herself. And the one you see below there of her standing by the tree was taken. Beautiful picture. And so, just in celebration, is really good to see her looking so well and beautiful as ever, even after months of chemotherapy. That I decided to celebrate a little bit. I made a couple of coloring pages. So just a couple of very quick coloring pages that I thought people might be interested in. If you want to attempt, you want to try, they're free. I put them on my website. So the top one is, of course, her at the state dinner, and the bottom picture, of course, is her by the tree. So if you're interested in these two coloring pages, you can get them from my website, dailyempresstarot.com, and you can just click on reference sheets. And I have a few different, free downloads I have there, the PDFs. So I put it on top, Princess Catherine coloring pages there. And I also have some swatch sheets that I've done from earlier videos. So if you're interested, you can download it from there. Yeah, so today, now this top picture, I'm gonna paint with watercolor the top picture, top coloring page there. And now when it prints out, it's very light. So here's the printout. Now on camera, you're probably barely able to see it. See, we have a very faint gray line there. And I did that intentionally so that, whether you're using color pencils or watercolor or whatever, I put this on thick cardstock paper so I can use a little watercolor on it. Oh, and this is the printout of the standing by the tree in the forest there. I don't know if that's looking sideways here. Let me turn it this way. Okay, that's better, right? All right, there, her in a forest. Turn the page. And there's the faint. So you can probably just barely make out the faint. So that way, again, if you use color pencil or whatever you use, and you'll be able to get the accurate face, and at the end, you won't even know that it was a coloring page. It'll just look like you drew a picture of her. It's so faint, so gray lines there. Yeah, so I'm going to turn the camera. Let me turn it this way. Let me see. I want to be able to have this comfortable for me. I'm going to turn the camera around like this. So if I have it like this, let me see if I zoom in. Is that upright for you? No, that's upside down. There, okay, there we go. That's what I want. Sorry for the confusion there. Little just getting that set up. I don't know if you can just barely make it. In person, it looks much clearer. On camera, it looks very, very light. So just to let you know, it is easier to see in person than on camera. So I'm going to just use my watercolors to start off with. I've got my watercolor paints, and I'm just going to be using some simple red, blue, yellow type colors to start with. Well, actually, before I start doing that, I got a trick I'm going to use here because, in the picture, she has a crown, obviously, or tiara on her head, which I'm not going to do in detail. I'm just going to, and the earring that she has there. Let me make it a little bigger. So you can see she's got this big earring and the jeweled tiara on top. So what I'm going to do, a trick you can do with a watercolor is that you can just, now you can use masking fluid to keep the watercolor from getting on there, or I'm going to be using a piece of wax. So I just use some wax where the jewelry is, or the tiara up here. Just going to put in, now the wax will not completely block the watercolor. It'll give it a sort of sparkly kind of look, but it's perfect for jewelry or reflections on water. So I'm gonna put it for the earring over here. So yeah, and then maybe a little bit. She also has her medallion or the queen's thing here. So I'm gonna put that over here for that. All right. So I just blocked out the areas I'm gonna keep white. So that way you can kind of see the reflection in the light a little bit. So that way I can just watercolor right over it and it won't get painted on. It will stay white. So a little trick there with the watercolor. And if I was using color pencil, you can just indent the paper with like a stylus and get the same kind of effect, keep the paper white and go over it with color pencil. All right, so I've got the red paint going here, and I'm going to just put a light red all around her hair and face. I'll watch, keep it out of the eyes there. See how this comes out. So you see that area I just painted right over it, but it's not, the paint's not staying, it's staying white. That's where I put the wax. That's her earring there. Maybe I can zoom in a little more. So I'm using cardstock paper, which is not really meant for watercolor. And then you can get away with a little bit of it. So I've got to try to keep it a very thin layer of water. And the paper will start curling up and, you know, deteriorating if I use too many layers of watercolor on it. So I'm going to stop there. So that's just the first layer there. Let that dry a little bit. While that's drying a little, I'm going to paint a blue stripe for where the sash that she's wearing here. Just put a using ultramarine blue and just big brush. And I'm just using a big brush for all of this. The larger the brush, the better. In the beginning, when you're not doing the detail, before you start doing details. All right, so that's getting a start there. And then I'm also going to put in some yellow for the medallion, whatever this thing is called that she has over there. This, I'm just keeping it very simple. So you see, I don't know if you can see, I see where it's white there, it stayed white. That is the wax. Yeah, so the earring stayed white and so you can see that. So it's, the wax is a really great, easy way. You can use a candle, even if you just have a candle around the house. You see, all you need is anything wax. All right, so now I'm going to move to, as I was using a larger brush, this is a number 12, I think, that I was using initially. So I'm going to move to a smaller brush now, as I'm going to do some details on her face. So I'm going to switch to the number 6 round. And I want to put in some shading around her face. It's already crinkling up a little bit, the paper, but it's really not made for watercolor. I'm sort of pushing the boundaries here a little bit. Pushing my luck with this paper, see how it goes. I like to live a little dangerously here, pushing my luck with with the watercolor. All right, so where we got some shading? We got some shading. I'm just gonna put it off here next to the nose. And the eyebrows are I did accidentally cover the eyes. I shouldn't have covered. I should have left the eyes white, but that was my bad. I already made a mistake there. But I can always put white in later. Put it on the eyes here, under the nose. And her smile. Smile down here. Okay. And under the chin, the bottom of the chin here, you have some shading. Down the neck a little bit, under the okay. And I think for the hair, I'm going to put some burnt sienna. I jump right to the hair now. Or the light brown color. You sort of color that in. So I didn't mind putting a little red on top of it because it is a reddish, slightly reddish highlights in her hair. That's gonna make the hair darker and darker, anyways, as I add layers on it. So I'll have some light highlights there. Okay. Now be careful not to let the water accumulate anywhere because it will cause warp the paper. I've got to try to. No guarantees on how this turns out in the end. This could be a total disaster. So try to get our neck straight here. Okay. We got the general look there. Sort of my hand is getting on the wet paint. I gotta be careful of that too. Something else to look out for. Okay, so I'm also gonna use the burnt sienna for her eyebrows. So again, going over here, I just did a little red just to mark it out. Then over here. I got our eyebrows. Then I'm going to mix the burnt sienna with the ultramarine blue, get a grayish color. So we're doing this off camera, but let's see. Start doing the eyes. And let's see. That. Okay, I don't know. I think the wax is keeping that. Yeah, I can't paint on top at all of that, so. All right, so let's color on top here where the jewels are. So the wax does a great job of resisting that. Yeah, and I think that's a little still, it's a little too wet. I can't touch the hair yet. I'm gonna take some blue. Gotta be careful not to disturb it. You have to wait till it's completely dry before I can. Yeah, so this is just gonna be a very simple looking painting here. I'm gonna do a little bit more red. Um, the chin and on the cheek here. The rouge. The inside of the ear a little bit. Just soften up those lines I put underneath here for the shading. And then the lips. A little reflection there, I think. The light. Apologies for the reflection. Anyway, just a simple coloring sheet. Just have some fun. And, just doing a simple filling in the colors background. And then after this is dried, you can go over it in more detail with color pencil and make it, even more, this is just the base here we're putting on. And because I'm not using watercolor paper, I don't want to try putting on too many layers. So what I may do is I'm going to just leave this as the base, and then I will go over this in more detail with, I can just go over more detail with color pencil. But first, before I do that, for her white dress, I'm going to pull back a little bit. So to get the white dress, I'm going to use a light gray, a light watered down mix of the ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna. And I'm just going to cover the whole gray of, or the whole white dress with the gray, very light gray shading. If I started over, I probably should have done this first before I colored the sash or the yellow and yellow award there. That her medal. That's okay. Think of these things later. All right, so I'm just going to do that. And just look at her picture of where the shading is around there. So I'm going to add a little bit darker grayish color. A mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And I'm just going to put in where her arms, put a couple of lines for where her arms are. So it goes like that. Just adding a little bit of shading around the sash and whatnot, and also around there's this simple outline here. So I'll smooth it out a little bit, make it a little. All right, so there's the start. So there's the beginning of it. Fade that out a little bit. Yeah. So there is the watercolor. Yeah, just a quick, simple watercolor you can do with this coloring page. And you can't even see the lines, right? You can't even tell that this was a coloring page, right? It just looks like a simple watercolor. So there you have it. So I may go back later with color pencil after this dries. I have to wait for this to dry now and then go from there. Okay, so now it's all dry. And like I said, I could use color pencil and just use this as a base and go over it for more detail. Or another thing that's fun to do is to just take a black felt pen or a micron pen and fill in some details with the pen to bring out more details in the picture and just have some fun with it. You know, you can make a very simple outline and just outline certain things, or you can get very detailed. So let's see, I don't know how detailed I'm going to get, but let's see what we feel like doing. We're going to start with the hair. I'm going to make it darker in some areas. So we'll go over it. Now just darkening up the shadowed areas. Put in some texture. And the eyebrows. Eyelashes. Sort of just fix any, anything that you don't like. And just want to accentuate and bring out. Where she's going to have eyelashes, just any little details that you want. And I'm probably put the outline of her face here because her hair does come down on the sides a bit. And then sort of bring this together. Outline her face and where her ear is. and just sort of outline her. Yeah. So bring her out more. Now, I don't know how detailed I really want to get with the crown so much. I think that let me outline her ear first so it doesn't. Put in a little shading, maybe a few more details and the crown here. I'm not trying to be exact about it, just add a little more here, I think. So I'm just adding a few more details. Again, just adding some more texture for the hair and the shading. And just outlining the dress. One of the tricks is figuring out when to stop. You want to put as much detail as you can, but not go too far with it. So I think that will be where I stop. So, just simple. All you need is a little watercolor, a little micron pen. And in case you're wondering, I'm using the 1.0 size, the Micron 01. Yeah, just doing a little outline there, and I think I will end it there. So let me pull back the camera if I can find it here, my computer. There we go. And there's the finished drawing, painting of Catherine. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.